Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Cowboys Takeover. You know what's funny, Aaron? I thought I did that last week and I didn't. And this week, had no idea. And I actually muted the mic this week, so it's beautiful. You know how those things interact. But yes, this is week 5 post game for Cowboys Takeover show. I'm your host, Mr. Jason Kent. With me today, as always, at AT&T Stadium, Mr. Aaron James. Aaron, how was your day today, sir?
Hey, Wise Counsel. Good to be back on with you. Today was, so Tuesday. I just feel it's that fall, red October baseball playoff vibe. I feel like the juices are flowing.
Yeah, they're not flowing in New York. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you that. But we have some positivity here today. This is the Cowboys Takeover podcast. So if you're looking at it from that perspective, man, you gotta be. I don't want to say happy because I am. I'm a little upset. But my first question I have for you today, Aaron, is how impressed are you impressed after watching that game this weekend? There was that huge rain delay. That storm looked vicious out there, but they came out and we almost doubled the yardage. But the big thing I think we've discussed for many, for as long as pretty much we've been on this show, doing the show with McCarthy, it's a Dallas team that takes a lot of penalties, and they're just not disciplined in a game that really looked like it should have been Dallas running away. Man, Pittsburgh was able to stay around, and it was very upsetting to me, at least. It was not good to see.
Yeah, well, I mean, overall, I'm still very excited with the victory. I'd go as far as to say this may have been the best coached game, like preparedness game under the McCarthy era, coming in to Pittsburgh against a top defense, against a well-coached team. They just kind of had in the stat sheet a lot to your sentiment that you had in the pregame. The stat sheet showed that the Steelers should have ran away with this game, and then they had a couple different ways to do it, more options than the Cowboys.
Yeah.
But McCarthy and give it up to Coach Zimmer as well. They showed up very well prepared. So I was kind of thinking, okay, well, is this a trend now that we have 2 weeks, right? Well, we also had a trend the other way, right? With our first 3 weeks as well, going the other way from the run defensive perspective.
Yeah.
But so I like what I'm seeing. I'm happy we got the win, albeit it took us to a 4th and goal to get it done. Dak was able to pull it off and overcome some of his mistakes. Maybe I don't know if I put both interceptions on him. I mean, and then in regards to the fumble, he just got smacked, really hard.
Here's where I'm going to disagree. And I'm glad that you brought up the fumble. Come on. That fumble and that sack, 1,000% on him. You can't do a 7-step drop. You have to be you're a 7-year vet. I forget how many year vet he is in the NFL at this point.
9.
You've been in the NFL 9. You're a 9-year vet. You had time. You had plenty of time. You have TJ Watt coming off that edge. To me, that both of the fumble, the interception right at the end, the first half, like, man, come on. You're 9. Those plays are unacceptable when you are driving and you're missing Micah, you're missing Tank, and I get it. I'm very happy we won, but I'm still so frustrated with Dak, and I understand he threw for over 300 yards, and I get it. He had a very solid game, but he nearly cost us that game because of his terrible decisions. That fumble is unacceptable. There's two turnovers. Those 2 turnovers, big ones in the red zone, can't happen. And I was very upset, especially with the fumble, because if you step up in that pocket, they already got Watt to the outside. if you step up, there's the whole right side's open. You could probably run it in by yourself. So I was very happy about the run defense. That portion of it, my thought was my key for Dallas. You really had to step up, not let the Pittsburgh's run guy, and Najee didn't. He averaged under 4 yards a carry. You know, he's going to get hurt, or Fields is going to get his, and they really made him throw. You know, they didn't get really beat with a big run either. I think the longest rush Najee had was 6 yards, so that it's not like they were giving up the chunks. And then what's his name only threw for, I believe, a little over, right around 200 yards there, or no, I'm sorry, 131. So 4.9 yards an attempt. You know, they sacked him 3 times. So they really, they did everything they needed to do, and there's no reason the reason that game came down to a 4th down to win it is because Dak let you down. And I can't have that from my franchise quarterback who's the highest paid player in the NFL.
I think that we have to try to be honest and not move the goalpost, because even though Dak almost cost us this game, Dak was also brought us back and gave us that opportunity to win. So you have to you can't move the goalpost when he comes through at the end and say, yeah, but coulda, woulda, shoulda.
I agree with you.
You got to give him the flowers.
But if you're playing, this was supposed to be a Super Bowl caliber team. Mm-hmm. If you're trying to fight for a playoff victory and you don't have Justin Fields on the other side, do you think that's even a close game? Like, come on. That's my issue is I'm thinking of it in the mindset of this is a team that we both had 13 plus wins on. And I think we both thought very highly of Dak coming into this season. And yes, he did throw. So yes, I'll give him his props. He did at the end of the game. When it came down to it, he did recover that fumble at the end, which you don't understand what Rico's doing there. You're like 3 yards out, bro. Why are you trying to throw the ball out? So he did make the play, and then he was able to get the touchdown at the end. But I expect more from a guy who I think last year was second in MVP running. And you could have made an argument he should have won it over Lamar Jackson. Coming into this season, I really thought was going to be an MVP caliber quarterback. And to me, he's really underperformed. I get the garbage yards. He got a lot of yards in games he was losing. Yesterday it wasn't, or Sunday night it was important. But man, it's a lack of the run game, and just when you got Lamb telling you you're making subpar throws mid game. Something's going on in Dallas.
Yeah, so I do have my eye on the chemistry between Dak and CD. Yeah. I'm starting to get a vibe that I'm concerned about, that CD just got his paycheck and now he's puffing out his chest a little bit and wants things done his way. Right? In the sideline, you could read his lips like jump ball 4, but if your buddies and your pals go up to him and you pat him on the shoulder and you're like, bro, we're going to get it next time, or, and usually Dak will be like, that was on me. Neither of them really took, responsibility or accountability for that particular play. I didn't catch anything in the post game, but that's something I'm keeping my eye on. And, if we want to evaluate kind of more, another element that impressed me, and this is 2 months early from my prediction, Rico Dowdle, right? 82 yards, and the Steelers rush defense, you said in the pregame, they allow about 92 rush yards on average, and we hadn't even hit that number, I don't think, throughout the season. So you were like, no way, you were going under on us, and we did go over that as a team.
And so, I was very happy to like what you said with Rico getting the carries. I think when I watched that game, and when you look at that game, they finally gave Rico a shot to really to carry the ball a lot. Because we've seen a lot. I've seen him get 4 yards, a little over 4 yards a carry on those 8 to 10 to 12 carries. I need to start seeing these types of. If you start getting 20 carries a game with Rico, it opens up a lot with Dak. But man, Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I was happy they fed Rico the ball this game.
Yeah, so I think a couple things. The running game finally picked up. Rico looked really physical in his running efforts, running really smart. Uh, Schottenheimer, our offensive coordinator, was talking about how they've been coaching him on timing when he hits his gaps and not going too far. I mean, too fast out the gate. Like let things develop, let everything shape up, and that proved to show up really well. And then another comment in regards to McCarthy, I felt like the play calling, the designs were much better this game. I mean, if you just think at the last drive, you think of the screen. Dak barely gets the ball, by the way, to Lupke, and
Man, Lukey's
gets us
so big
down.
this year.
You
He's
know,
made a lot of huge plays this year.
He's looking like a use check. It's shaping up that way, he's just as nifty. Great hands.
He can catch the ball. That's a great comparison because he's somebody I really liked. I think he drafted last year, and they used him a little bit here and there, but he's not used a lot. But man, when he's used, it's a big play.
I'm impressed. I'm impressed because with what he's shown in the just being an outlet pass blocking. He's even had a couple handoffs, so you can't really, when you see him in the backfield as a defense, you can't really void him out of the play because if it's in his hands, he can do something nifty. So yeah, I mean, all around good game. I mean, I was pretty disappointed with Aubrey getting a blocked field goal. That was that was a little bit annoying. But even with those mistakes and those elements that the red zone turnovers, it could have been a blessing in disguise because imagine if we only need 3 to tie it and it doesn't force us to go in 4th down and you go into overtime and you never know how something like that shakes out. I think just the whole elements that took place, including what I've shared before, that I think we're going to be a really good road team this year, that proves to show well. If you look at Linville Joseph, he ran through a guy and forced a fumble on Fields. I'm not sure if you saw that play. Linville Joseph looked great. 91 Wheat looked amazing. And I'm starting to, I had this thought run through my head that we now just have hungry young guys wanting to prove themselves and not the superstar divas at our defensive ends. I'm wondering if there's something there.
Did you just call Micah Parsons a superstar diva?
Come on, man. He's got his own podcast.
Is that what you just did? Did you just
whatever he's more in front of the media than our QB.
I'll agree with that. Right? But to me, I think he's pretty impressive.
So I really liked what I saw. I think it's something that we can build off of, and it's given me a lot of confidence coming back home against the Lions, where we haven't been playing well at home. I think we're now 3 losses in a row.
Sure. I love what I'm seeing from Overshawn too, man. That's a kid. He flies. He flies around. He's very good. I'm very impressed. But to me, I don't want to keep harping on that. But 3 turnovers that came in, and all 3 of them were terrible. I think terrible decision making that you can't have from him. I was very impressed with the defense. They really stepped up big. Like you said, when you're losing, when you're losing Micah, you're losing DeMarcus. Man, those are big shoes to fill. And the defense really didn't miss a beat because of that run defense. Now, you got to give them their props. They have done it the last couple of weeks in a row, stepping up. So you really hope they can do it. You can hope they can build off of that. You got Overshawn and Kendricks, your leading tacklers. It feels like almost every week now. So it's very good to see that you have those linebackers. I want to see some of the mistakes. To me, this team can only go as far as Dak can take them. And I have a lot of arguments with all fans because a lot of people just continue to tell me how Dak is next level. And it bothers me because when I watch a game like that, I need more and I expect more. And I think I'm so angry because I know I say I don't believe in him, but in the regular season, he's a damn good quarterback. But it is, like you said, he at the end of the game, putting a very impressive drive together. Could have went either way. And he did win us the game. I do have a question for you because I was a little shocked there at the end of that game. Why is it Rico and not Zeke? Didn't we bring it? I thought that's kind of, to me, when you're bringing Zeke back, I thought he still showed he has a little bit there, and I know what he's done. Why? Do you think it's more they want to give Rico's those touches, or is there something Zeke's just not there anymore? You think?
You meant the game as a whole, right?
I mean, no, at the end, right there, because they gave Rico to me. Rico, or at the end, Zeke should be running at that goal line for like 3rd and goal. When you're running it there, it shouldn't be Rico. Second, to me, at the end of that game, I felt like you should have given Zeke a crack at the end zone because before he's earned it. I feel like that's kind of why you bring him in there into this game is your pass, your good pass blocker, and he still can give you those little bumps at the end of the game there.
Yeah, I know. I think that's a good call. And Rico almost cost us the game, not to mention. But that's not something that crossed my mind. But since you brought it up, I think that's a really good observation. That why not? Why isn't Zeke in there? He's our low to the ground power runner, falls forward, smart. Guy in the goal line.
Leap the pile. Like Rico didn't. We've seen Zeke leap that pile in the past, and he's been very good at it. Man, that was frustrating. That was a frustrating call, at least.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with that. And then when it comes to the actual touchdown play, I mean, running that mesh concept play on the crossing routes, you need time for that type of play to develop, and it worked out. And which reminds me, since Guyton went out, Tyler Smith was moved to left tackle, and with Bass in there, they looked really good. They looked really, really good. And I know you've mentioned before, are we gonna have to move Tyler out to left tackle? I'm very open to that.
If you can move Guy, because he is I think they say he's more of a run blocker right now anyway. If Tyler can really hold down that left tackle spot, I think that changes. It's a game changer. It is. So I think that's big. And listen, I think we both had them 4-1 at this point. I think we both saw a loss to Baltimore early in the season. So after the way they looked against Baltimore and the Saints, I know it's New York Giants, but the Giants, hey man, they've looked pretty okay.
They beat the Seahawks.
They beat the Seahawks. So, and then we come out and beat the Steelers, who, game could win either way, but it is the NFL. So as much as I want to kind of be mad at Dak, you kind of have to back off a little bit and understand he did win you the game, but I think you can't have those rose-colored glasses. I think you do have to be a little frustrated with his play. And there's 3 mistakes because I think all 3 of them were very avoidable. They were just bad decisions, and I know they happen, but you can't have them happen when your star defensive players are out, and like you said, there's something going on with him and Dak, or him and CD. Last thing I did want to bring up, Madden knew Tolbert, man. Tolbert, he didn't go for what I think Madden hadn't go over 100. Madden had like 10 catches too. Madden hadn't had a day, but he still finished with 7 for 87. Is that something too? I think he led the team in targets, led him in catches, led him in yards. He was the one Dak went to at the end of the game there. Do you see that as kind of another issue, or just now Dak really was throwing the game and kind of divvying it up?
Yeah, I think it's just Dak taking what the defense gives him. I'm still not really sold on Tolbert. I think I'm rooting for him, but I think at the end of the day, I don't see him, on this team for another season or 2. I just don't see it. I do think that we are going to still need help, whether it be at running back or at wide receiver. I saw a post this afternoon that we're bringing in, the Cowboys have brought in a former Jets wide receiver, Mims, to be looked at. That's a quick dude right there.
Yeah, but I think he just hasn't.
But you know what? Cavante that catch up the middle. I mean, he's becoming
I like
better.
him.
He's becoming
He's
like that
somebody
Swiss Army knife, but he's really small.
you
His
got to
size
get a
still
ball in
bothers
his
me.
hands, though. Like, I really think he's that type of play. I'd be okay with him and I said it before, him in the backfield kind of doing things and, or even having him in the slot, just underneath. Just get him the ball in space and let him do his thing.
Do
I
you
feel
think?
like
Do you think Turpin is as not versatile but effective as like a Cole Beasley was
I
as
think he
wide
could
receiver?
be. I think he can be. I think Cole was a little bit thicker, but Beasley, man, if he's a game changer and he's very dynamic. I think I think he can be more of a game changer than Beasley if they really start putting him in there at that slot. It's going to be tough because they don't have size. If
Mhm.
you put Turpin out there with, CD's not a big guy and Cooks isn't, there's nothing. So that's why you kind of Tolbert's not even that big, but it's going to be tough. You don't want to get everybody bodied. So I think that's part of the
Mhm.
reason because he is so small. But man, if you can just get him in, I think if you get him in space, man, he doesn't need like the 7-8 catches, kind of like Beasley was, but you get him 3-4 catches a game. Let him in space. Let him make his move. Let him do his thing. I think he has big plays. That's just
There's
my opinion.
there's one wide receiver that I thought of. I don't know his contract situation as far as dollars, but there's one wide receiver. I said to myself, like, if we can get this guy, I really love this guy. I always have. He's in the division. What would you think if we picked up and traded for Darius Slayton?
I don't know. I
You
don't
don't
think the
think that
Giants
moves
would
the
want
that
to.
moves the needle?
That moves no, because to me, I don't even think receivers in need. If you really if you're making a trade, to me, it's either for it's good. Number one's a running back. I think that is your biggest need right now that I see. I just still don't believe in Rico, and I know he had an impressive game, but if you could get a top tier running back, which I don't think you'll get one, if it's not that, to me, it's a pass rusher. I think you got to fill because I don't know how good, you don't know how Micah and DeMarcus are going to come back. And, foot, ankle injuries, anything lower extremity tends to linger. We've seen in past. So I think a pass rusher would be the second thing. I wouldn't go receiver this year.
Okay.
But yeah. But listen, hey, we're 3-2 after 5 weeks. Can't be too upset. We're second place in the division. The only problem is I don't think anybody really saw Washington being 5-0. So that's pretty impressive. Eagles, if you're Dallas, you still got to feel confident. Eagles don't look as great. Giants, you know what they are. I think once the Commanders have to play some real teams, they did lose to Baltimore. I'm sorry, they're 4-1, not 5-0. They lost to the Bucks, but they beat the Giants. Bengals aren't all. Cleveland's not great, so they do play the Ravens. They do have Panthers and Bears after that, and Giants after that. Man, their schedule looks very easy.
Well, let me share something with you really quick on that point with the Commanders. So you know how we've been torched, the Cowboys have. We've given up 14 total touchdowns this point of the season. Commanders also have given up 14 touchdowns at this point of the season.
Yeah, but there's no but. I think they're a better. I think they have more. Their defense is better. Their defense can be very good. They got a solid defense. But listen, they haven't beaten a lot of good teams. Dallas has played some tough teams. They lost the game they probably shouldn't have lost. But listen, it's a battle. We're one game out. There's a lot of football left. You're 3-2 after 5 weeks. You got to be happy. You stuck out of Pittsburgh with the win, and you got to have that positivity going into this game against Detroit. I think that's where you really have to be if you're Dallas. You just got to be cautiously optimistic. You got to clean up the mistakes. If you're McCarthy, you really got to really push, man. You got to push discipline. I feel like we've been saying that for the last couple of years. You can't have those crazy penalties. It's too many, and you can't have three turnovers and a couple other ones that could have been. So let's clean that up this week because it's a tough schedule for Dallas. You know, you have Detroit coming up. You got San Fran after that. You know, then you get two bird teams in the Falcons and Eagles. So it's a huge stretch coming up here for Dallas. So, how you feeling? I know we'll get into it Thursday night, but how you feeling for about Detroit this weekend?
I'm feeling good. When it comes to Detroit, I think a lot can be learned from that game they had against the Seahawks, which didn't look too much different than when we played the Lions last year. So coming off watching that game and our big game against the Steelers, I'm feeling really confident.
Man, the one thing when I watched Detroit these last couple of weeks, you want to hear a pretty impressive stat. It's last week. Well, I guess it wasn't last week, it was the week before. Jared Goff, 18 for 18, 292, 2 touchdowns. Now, Gibbs had 14 for 78. And then you got the week before that, Jared Goff, 18 to 23. Montgomery, 23 for 105. That kid's efficient. So I'm cautiously optimistic. I think we can do what we need to do. If the run defense steps up like it has the past 2 weeks, you know, we should be in for a good game. But that's a show for Thursday. We'll dive into that. We'll dive into Detroit. We'll dive in kind of how Dallas will need to look to beat this team. We want to thank each and every one of you for checking us out today and each week. We really appreciate it. We really thank you. Really love you. We just love talking Cowboys. We're big guys, big fans. You know, that game pushing for you is a little bit easier Sunday night. You know, 9:45 for me is only 6:45 for you. So a little bit of earlier evening for you, but you know, we got to watch some of it. It's nice to see him get that win pulled out. Something I didn't think they did. Madden didn't see him do it. The one, the only, Mr. Aaron James had him winning that game. You know, so he got the win this week, but it was a big need. It was very needed. It was one of those must wins early in the season. Get you 3-2, keeps you at that hunt in the division, and keeps you ahead of the change, keeps you right where you need to be, not too far back where we expected. So if they can clean some things up, man, and go on a run here, we're going to know who they are after these next couple weeks. San Fran's not playing as well as they are, and you got the Eagles a couple weeks after that. So, you know, it's big time football right now. We're getting into October. They got to start hitting hard, but they have to start playing better at home. Just can't continue this losing streak at home. So you can check us out. If you watch us on Facebook, if you watch us on Twitter, watch us on Instagram, really appreciate each and every one of you tonight and each and every week for checking us out. Thank you very much. We're 3-2, baby. Let's go, Cowboys. Dak and CD, let's get on the same cage here. Let's fix this. Let's turn this around. Can't have this negativity. Let's get ready. We'll be back Thursday night for the preview show for Detroit in Dallas. Big matchup. Big matchup. Week 6. Thank you, everyone. Check us out. Till next time, till Thursday night. Catch you later. Let's go, Cowboys.